about, what are all the lies? And they're still lying today. They're lying about the Green Deal. They're lying about the art of the deal. They're lying about everything. But when I watch James Fallon, this is what I'm saying. This is why I'm always trying to get down to the psychology of it. I'm always trying to get down to, why do we do the dumb things that we do? I wonder why I did the dumb things that I did. I apologize to everybody on the planet for supporting modern colonization. I just took on the mindset, the mentality of the colonizers, and I just cheered it. And now I know why. Dr. Fallon broke it down. That's why I look at that. Okay. We bring in YouTube. I'm calm. I'm not upset. I don't want his-future to be a word. It doesn't even sound right. Why would you cheer people who lied about yesterday to lie to us again tomorrow? Like, why does this, it's not gonna work out well, but Dr. Fallon uncovered it. Psychopathy. Uh-oh, phone ring. I gotta take this. Hold on. Turn this off. Hold on. Y'all gonna be mad at me. I'm sorry. That's massive. When Master call, I got to run. I'm sorry. I know y'all upset. I got 10 minutes. Get this out. History. Why the hell do we keep voting for people who lied about history, lie about his future? Doesn't make any damn sense. Let's get into it. We don't have time to play today. We got to roll. All right, look, check this out. So they lied about everything. They lied about ancient archaeology. They lied about the Native Americans. They lied about the Egyptians. They lied about the Mayans. They lied about the Aztecs. They colonized the whole world, deleted everybody's history, and y'all want me to vote for this. Y'all want me to keep cheering to be lied to. No, hell no. I want the whole thing to collapse. All of it. I think it's a stupid idea to continue to let people who lied about history to design the future. Now look, let's go to James Fallon, because we got 10 minutes, y'all. We got just a few minutes here. I gotta get going. Actually, I might just play this and let y'all watch it. That's what y'all want to do. Let me know. We gotta do something. It's gonna take about free society. This is why. Because when the big boss calls, you got to do what the boss says. Now check this out. We have a predisposition to being lied to.
Look at people at the top of the presidential list. They did in fact lie, but the thing is they lied for us. They lied to protect us. And people, for some reason, don't seem to mind psychopathic behavior when it's done on their behalf.
Yeah.
It's like the person who wants to get the best deal. They want the money manager that's gonna, if they're gonna cheat for me, make me money. If you're gonna lie and save me, save us. And so a lot of the behavior of leaders like that who have these are such that people will say they don't like it, but they vote for it over and over and over again. So it must be something very essential in us. They're not thinking, I want to vote for a psychopath, but they like those traits, and those traits are strongly associated with the psychopathy. You would also think, people would say, well, God, Hitler and all those Nazi leaders must have been psychopaths. And yet the analysis by many, many psychiatrists over the years, Hitler does not come up as a psychopath, and none of those Nazis do at all. They're all family men. They're all very smart, and they thought they were doing their job. And that's why Hannah Arendt, when she talked about this, she didn't call it psychopathy. The way she analyzed it is that people will get into a position, and they're just little pieces of a bigger organization. That organization is evil, right? It's the banality of evil is what she called it. But each individual's role is sort of hidden. And so people with those tendencies can be not fully psychopathic, but they will do things that within an organization will get them what they want. So they help to launch, and it's a fulcrum for general psychopathy, let's say, in a culture, in a country. So that's a little bit different. But the individual...
Banality of evil is what he's talking about. He's talking about if you keep voting for psychopaths over and over and over, Your one doesn't have to be. All they need is just, they're on the spectrum. They got little bits and pieces. It's the system. Again, it's not Bernie, it's not Trump, it's not Obama, it's not May, it's not Merkel, it's not Putin. It's the idea that we gravitate towards psychopaths. Like, we gravitate towards their confidence. We enjoy their lies. We're okay with them lying for us. This is what I'm saying. We don't like slavery, but we're okay if it's not us being enslaved. We're okay with them enslaving for us. And this is what we got to get past, because we evolved this acceptance to do this. So we're going to do a little bit of psychopathy today. Y'all can hang in if you want. You can leave if you want. You can do whatever you want, but I will be back. I'm going to have to play something here so that y'all can look at the psychological points of it. Like, I believe in neuroscience, I believe in science, and I believe in ancient religions too, and the ancient texts. I believe in all of it. I try to use every piece of data, every bit of research to figure out what the hell's going on in the world, try to make it a better place for the short time that I'm here. So I don't pick teams, and some of y'all, I don't like your religion, I don't like your scripture, I don't like your history, I don't like your science. I don't believe none of them. I think we're all wrong. I think we're all 98% monkeys. We're trying to figure it out. So you got to look everywhere. But we have dispositions from evolution that get us to cheer psychopathic presidents, congressmen, senators, leaders. This is why I'm saying we got to get out of it. And I was having a discussion with the lady the other day, the sister on the thread, and I'm saying we're not anti-psychopath, right? We're not. We are anti the things that get done when psychopaths have power. Right? It's called the warrior genes, the whole spectrum of psychopathy that they mention all the time. They were our ancient heroes in violent times. Velociraptors, well, I think they were trying to kill us, but the short-faced bear and the wolves, and everything was trying to kill us. So we needed psychopathic leadership of no fear and confidence, and so we fell in line behind leaders. We don't live in those times anymore, people. We have to get out of our own psychopathy. It's not okay if they're lying for you. It's not okay if they're killing for you. It's not okay if they're enslaving for you and you just don't feel it and it's on somebody else. So we're going to get into the psychopathy of it today, the neuroscience, because that's what's important. We got to get inside our own heads and undo what evolution on a violent planet did to us, because we're not on a violent planet anymore. No longer is the planet necessarily trying to kill us, not successfully. It's us trying to kill each other. It's because we keep voting for people who need to have their warrior genes turned off, right? You understand what I'm saying? Somebody said it's not true. Somebody, who said that? Let's go back. Please tell me where the neuroscience is not true. He's lying. Who's lying, Fatima? Who's lying? James Fallon, he's lying? What's he lying about? Who's lying? Or is you say Will Ferrell's lying? No, Girardi, I don't want you to vote. I know, Rebecca, you don't want me to vote. You never wanted me to vote. You told back when I was gonna vote, you told me not to vote. I told you was crazy. But now I get it. I don't understand, like, why would I vote for? Here's an example. Why would you vote for people who lied about history to lie about the future? How is that ever going to work out good for them? It's going to work out good for you. It's like you go in the kitchen and some cookies are missing. The kids ate the cookies. Somebody ate the cookies. And you ask the kids, where the damn cookies at? And they like, I don't know where the cookies at, but damn it, woman, you need to go to the store and get some more cookies. Did you just say that to me? Your baby just told you, damn it, go to the store, you need to keep voting. You just need to go to the store, give me some more cookies. I ain't gonna tell you where the cookies went. Hell no, that's not how this works. That shouldn't be how it works. You keep giving that kids cookies and then lying about who ate the cookies and they're not telling you the truth. You're not supposed to give them cookies. That's how you get them to tell you the truth. What's he lying about? He's lying about them lying for us. Right, they never lied for us. Well, no. So what he's saying we get behind leaders who lie for us. They lie for our sake and what we want, but I know what you're saying. They'll never do it. The lies are for us, the lies to fool us. I know what you're saying, Fatima. We're on the same point. We're on that same page. Absolutely, that's a lie. That is absolutely a lie. I know that politicians lie. Exactly, Fatima. So why do people keep voting for them? The system requires they lie. Like, they pick an identity that's their hero psychopath and they put them in place knowing they're gonna kill people, knowing they're gonna murder people, they're gonna drop bombs on people, they're gonna starve people, they're gonna do all these dumb things. But Fallon explained it. Like, we have that predisposition because fear, somebody said fear a minute ago, because we have the fear if we don't put them in power, we're gonna die. Guess what? We're not gonna die. Look around you. This damn Starbucks down the street. There's a 7-Eleven. There's a grocery store. It's a giant. It's got a damn robot going around telling the humans to clean the floor. You're not gonna die if you don't vote for a liar. You don't need a liar. And this is what I think would happen. I think, and going back on the I don't want His-futre to exist because history is a damn lie. No secrets. No secrets. You want me to vote for something? You can't have any secrets. Like I posted something a minute ago about deals. Like why would I make a deal with a liar? Do you know how stupid that is? Like why would he wrote the art of the deal, and we got a Green New Deal, and we got all these deals, and we're gonna make a deal with you. We got the New Deal. And then, why would you make a deal with somebody that's lying to you about history? Like you gotta have a common ground starting point. We wanna build a future. First we need to know that you're not lying. Because you're lying about the future. You're lying about the past. How do I know you're not lying about today and the future? Who makes deals with liars? Stupid, well, all right, that's stupid people. I was that person. I would say ignorant people. I was ignorant. I didn't think about the future. I didn't think about, do I want people who architected the lies to me about the past to design the future? I never really thought about it that way. Now I think about it that way. Hell no, I don't. I think we should all burn before we let an unknown group of people decide what the future becomes. I think that's a bad idea. I think it's a bad idea. I gotta listen, because I'm gonna have to go in a minute. I'm gonna let y'all listen to Dr. Fallon. Stockholm Syndrome, plain and simple. It is Stockholm Syndrome, John, but there's psychopathy behind it. Right? We're being played. We're being played on our fear to keep voting for violent people, and we normalize violence, war, rape. Like everybody has everything in common. Everybody has everything in common, right? Whether you believe in women's rights, or black rights, or African rights, or Irish rights, or kids' rights, or whatever rights you want, gun rights, Republican rights, Christian rights, and West Bank Palestinian rights, whatever rights you believe in, we all got the same problem. We're always being lied to by someone that has power that keeps us in conflict with somebody else. Why can't we gravitate on one basic principle? We can't make good decisions if we got bad data. If they're lying about the past, if the system requires they keep lying about the past, why should we go forward with this? Because once you have good data and you see all sides of it, then you can make a good decision. But until then, you're just gonna constantly get played. You know, and I think we gotta get past that. I think we gotta really evolve to where we're required to know what's true. We can't determine what type of system we should have, who we should vote for, where we should go, what deal is a good deal, unless we actually have honesty in the system. All right, I'm gonna put this up. I'll be right back.
I always knew who I was. One thing is I absolutely was sure of who I was, my own identity, my sense of self. And then I got a little bit of a surprise. But the first thing, it started out in a small way. I'm a white heterosexual male. My name is James Henry Fallon, and so I'm a WHM, and I'm also a Irish Sicilian American, so I'm a Wisham. Then when I was about 13, I found out that was not my real name. It was not James Henry Fallon, which I think I had made up, but James Harry Fallon. And we were not Irish at all, but we were adopted, so we were adopted. We're really English genetically, if you will. And so here's really what I am. I'm a white English, a Sicilian American heterosexual male, middle class, agnostic, brought up Catholic boy, booing libertarian New York, transplant to California, married, Angels, Ducks, Chargers fan. So I'm a Wesham, Mamaka, Buka, that thing. Okay. And so, and that was fun to find out. You know, this was it was just part of a parlor game that everybody has gone through. And you know, and I had a pretty standard youth. I always considered myself to have a standard youth. I ended up being class clown in high school. I was always goofing around. I was more angel than devil. And I also was named Catholic Boy of the Year in the capital of New York. And that, for some reason, afforded me the honor of meeting Nelson Rockefeller. I don't know what the two have to do with each other, but it was a fun thing. He didn't do that to me. He was a great guy. I was a kid, so I did some involved with some other things too, and I was involved in a lot of extreme sports and everything, but pretty normal stuff, really regular stuff. And I've been married since Nixon, and here's my wife, and we started dating when we were 12. We were first dates. And we loved to dance together and swim, so we really got along. We became friends. We knew nothing about romance and certainly not sex. And then we were about 16. We were just wrestling downstairs, and we just started making out. It was like, oh, it was this, It was like all of a sudden the hormones hit, and so we started to go on. So we said, hey, I think we like each other. We really like each other. And we ended up getting married. So we've got 3 kids who are in their 40s and 5 grandkids now so far. The oldest of whom is 18, and this kind of jumps up at you. I've been a professor at UC Irvine since 1978, so I'm kind of a potted plant there. I'm still there, but I've really had a stable family life, and I've had a very stable professional life, and I really always considered myself quite normal. And so I retired at 62 from all the administrative work at the university and my formal teaching. I still teach and do stuff, but I mostly do research, but I'm my own graduate student now. I'm just having fun. I don't need to do anything for money, so it's great, it's where you want to be. So I'm happy, successful, and I'm a self-diagnosed normal guy. Now, and then something happened, okay? Now, I think I'm partially responsible for it. This is the first time Gandalf showed up. And it turned out to be me, in a sense. And so what I had been doing since the early 90s, we got a PET scan, a positron emission tomography, and one of the things we were doing was these serial killers, bad murderers would come in, and then during the penalty phase of the trial, they'd say, okay, I'll get a PET scan, and then you can tell me that I'm crazy, so I don't get the death penalty. And so we had done that 1 or 2 a year, and it was thrilling for the medical students because they bring these guys into manacles and shackles into the PET scanner, SWAT team on top of the medical school buildings. The dean and the chancellor loved this, of course. But this went on for a number of years, and other people were sending me different kinds of scans. So I was looking at different scans of murders, but I told them, don't tell me who's who. I wanted to do it all blind. Because even when you try, you create a narrative in your head of the way things should be. I said, don't tell me even if they're killers or anything. So I got a whole bunch of these in 2005. And when I was looking at them, I realized it was a pattern. And I'm not an expert in psychopathy or in murders or anything else. It's just one of the things you do when you're a neuroanatomist, like patterns, so people send you this stuff. And that's my computer game. It always has been. And I noticed this pattern, and the pattern was that in all the psychopaths, the area of the brain that's called the limbic system, it's part of the social brain and emotional regulation, that it was turned off in all these guys. So I just kind of put together a theory and kind of vetted it at different psychiatry departments, law schools and everything, just to kind of move it around. And that was 2005. So I had this theory. And then we just happened to we're looking for the genes associated with Alzheimer's. Because we know the ApoE, but we thought there might be a gene that would interact with it, that would really cause trouble for people who had these genetics. And so we needed some normals. So I got some controls, and I was one of the controls, because we had to get the study done. We had all the Alzheimer's patients. And so what we ended up with is all the controls look like controls. So it was great, except one, I looked at the PET scan, and I told the technician, I said, you got to go check the scanner because this is obviously one of the killers. Because it looked like the worst of the psychopaths that I had looked at ever. And they went and checked the machine twice and everything, the whole provenance of the data. They go, no, it's somebody in that group. So I had to peel back the name. I said, this, somebody's running loose. There's a control. And there's a murder. And of course, I peeled, and the name on it was mine. And when I saw it, I just kind of laughed. I said, I'm not a murderer or a rapist, any of that stuff. I'm a normal guy. So I just kind of blew it off, and I just thought to myself, well, the theory's probably wrong. Turns out that, it had to be that. But it turns out the theory wasn't wrong, because other people after this found the same pattern in psychopaths. So it that. We were very busy that year looking at the genetics and the scans of schizophrenics and people with Alzheimer's. So we were really distracted. But within about 6 months, 2006, I got the first of my genetics back. And the genetics, the alleles, the forms of the genes that I had, all lined up with high violence and high aggression, a low anxiety, and a kind of empathy that's consistent with a psychopath. So now, I've got the two biological markers, including ones in my own theory, and I still was pretty much in denial. About the same time, we were having a party. My mother's 97 now, and she's just full of it. She's cognitively in great shape. And she says, your cousin gave me a book. You got to read this. It's a historical book, and it's about your father's family. Now, her whole family's from Sicily, and she always got the business about being mafia. In fact, growing up, she was a bootlegger and all this stuff, and she rode a dynamite truck to Lucky Luciano's place. But they were all good people, they were... So she was sick of that. And here was a book, and it was about the first killing of a mother by a son, matricide, in the American colonies. And it was my direct grandfather, okay? It was the Cornells. But in that, one of my cousins is Ezra Cornell, who founded Cornell University. That's very nice, right? Kind of offset it. But also because, hopefully that was the idea. And another cousin, though, was Lizzie Borden. Now, cousin Lizzie got a lot of press. I tell you, she's innocent. We don't count Lizzie as one of the murderers in our family. But we also found, for example, that one of our cousins is Jimmy Carter and Marilyn Monroe. And of course, we all have these kinds of connections with people. But it was fun finding this out. Again, part of the parlor game of it all. Now, but then it got kind of worse. Now, ancestry is not genetics, right? But it's fun to do. But it turns out on my father's side of the family, not only was that one whole line of murderers and bad actors, but there were 3 other lines of murderers. And one of them went back to this group of English kings who were the most savage of the English kings. And those are all direct grandfathers. And we had slave traders. Oh, they're a very charming family on that side. But there was also kind of a high percentage of ministers and nuns. So they were really holy people, or really rats. And it was a funny family on that side. So anyway, I found that out, and I got a call by the guy who had just put money into an adult stem cell company. And he put a few $1 million in. He goes, give a TED talk and talk about the struggle to get adult stem cell biology accepted. And it never was. And we had findings in the mid-90s and had some findings in humans. And after 10 years, the New York Times, who was not the Nobel Committee, said our results were like the most startling find of the decade of the brain. So I was going to talk about the struggle against the bias, some scientific bias, but people just don't believe it. People just didn't think there were adult stem cells in the brain, and certainly couldn't activate them. We found that we could, and now the whole, my life was dedicated to finding how to mobilize them to reverse Parkinson's and also chronic stroke. So we formed this company. He goes, talk about that whole struggle. I talked to the TED people. I went, yeah, that's okay, but can you make it sort of personal and funny? And here's the mistake I made. I said, well, I have this other story, And I said, I don't know if anybody's going to think it was interesting, because they never really thought it was that interesting. And I told them it, and they said, that's it. So I gave this talk, and in it, I had this theory that I got from watching my mother weeding in our backyard. She was sitting on a 3-legged stool. And I said, well, we have, contributing to psychopathy, these high vulnerability genes. And the other leg would be a certain brain pattern. And the third one was early abuse or abandonment. Now, I was somebody who never believed that environment meant anything. I was really into the genetics and behavior. It's the biological basis of it. So I gave that talk, and that talk, I know nothing about politics or the law or business, but I found out something. I do know something about marketing. If you have a TED talk and the keywords are psychopathic killer, you get 1 million hits really fast. Now, that was sort of okay. It was just sort of a cute, fun story. Then I went to Oslo. I was invited to give a talk with the ex-prime minister of Norway on bipolar disorder and the connections and the genetics of it and everything. So I gave it with, he gave a talk. He had kind of brought himself out as having that during his first term. And he got treated and he came back and had a very successful second term. So it was kind of a heroic story, especially for a Norwegian to admit this. And so I was giving a talk and I had to use somebody's genetics. So I put all my genetics and my brain pattern, and I listed all of my clinical conditions from birth onwards. You can't read that there, but I went through this whole list. At the end of the talk, the chairman of the Department of Psychiatry was there. He says, "You don't know this, but you have bipolar disorder. It's just not recognized as such in the United States." He says, "You have hypomania, and you don't feel depression, but he says you're full bipolar." He says, "And I also want to talk to you afterwards." So we met after the talk at the president of the University of Oslo's house. And several psychiatrists and psychologists were there, and I talked to them for a couple hours. They said, you're pretty close to being a full psychopath. Now, that kind of slowed down my Cabernet drinking that night, because I had never taken it seriously. I had the biological data, but I just kind of blew it off. But these people didn't know me, but they knew clinical and biological data, and these psychiatrists, and they talked to me and they said, "You got to check this out." So the first time I took it seriously, I went home and I asked the question. I started asking question to people, and when you ask this question, be ready for some answers. And I just basically said, "Tell me what you really think of me." Now, and I said, I won't get mad, I won't do anything. And I started with the psychiatrist who knew me for many years and who knew my behaviors. And then I went on to my family and very close friends, and they all said the same thing. They said, "Well, you're pretty much close to being a psychopath. We've been telling you for years." I said, "No, you said I was crazy." I said, "You're not crazy." So, but all these things, and they went through these specific behaviors. And when I saw them all there, it kind of hit me. Then I got, analyzed, psychoanalyzed, and all this stuff, and took the test. And I'm a borderline. I'm not a full categorical psychopath. I'm what you call a pro-social psychopath. Sounds nice. It's also called a successful psychopath, which basically means you haven't been caught. So one reason you don't know me is because I've been hiding all these years, and you didn't quite know that. So anyway, to get back to this, I still didn't understand why I wasn't really much worse than I was, even though I have behaviors that are not so charming, and I have all these pro-social symptoms and traits. And I looked at it, and it didn't make sense to me. And then when I was looking at it just a couple of years ago, I looked at some of the alleles, and one of them was the serotonin transporter. And I have these so-called warrior genes. I'm just loaded with them. But some of these, they're only warrior genes if you're abused or abandoned early in life, especially from birth to the first few years. But it was found out in a monkey, another paper in humans, that if you're treated really in a nurturing environment, it erases some of the other negative characteristics. So this was really the first aha moment, because in my whole life, I was always treated like a golden child. Our mother had our older brother, and they wanted a huge family, and then she went through 5 years of miscarriages, and then I showed up. So the very fact that I was alive meant I was special. It was like a mistake, but I'll take it. And so, and then there were another 4 years of miscarriages, and then after that, my mother's uterus got it right. She had 6 kids, very boom, 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 quickly. But I was treated so well by not only my family, but my extended family, and they knew when I was going through puberty, I was in some trouble. I was going through some dark period. And in having, especially a matriarchy who could see into behavior and do something about it, was great. So I think my mother told my teachers, "Watch this kid, make sure he keeps busy." And so I kept busy all the time, and that was it. And then, of course, about 10 months ago, I got contacted, and these literary agents said, "You got to write a book on it," which I did, The Psychopath Inside, where I go through some of the nasty things, how my own psychopathic behaviors and kind of the biology of it, the genetics of it, what's known about it. Okay, so in this, in reflecting on this, the first thing was that, I had always been in denial of the effective environment. And it turns out that this was incorrect. Now, if you look at the whole history of nature-nurture, which turns into genetics and epigenetics ultimately, in environment, from the time of Plato and Socrates, it turns out Plato was correct. Okay, Socrates didn't quite have it. But there's this whole history of genetics, and a large part of it at the end, of course, includes Craig, and it would be great to hear what he's going to say. But in this, I never appreciated this interaction of genes and environment, and that's when the crow showed up. And, you know, if you're a scientist, you hate to be wrong, especially if you're narcissistic. I'm very narcissistic, and I had to admit to all my colleagues I was wrong. So when you have to eat crow, and a crow this big, I didn't enjoy it at all, but I mean, I was caught in the bind there. So now, given this, I asked the question, what do I do about this personally? Now, I know that you can't do anything if you're born with the psychopathy or any of these personality disorders. There's no treatment. And but I said, I can do it, though. I can change. So what I started doing, first with my wife, a couple of years ago, I started every interaction I would have with her, I stopped for a moment and said, what would a good guy do here? So it starts with, you know, who do you pour the wine for first? Who do you serve? Do you clean up? Simple things. But also, I'm the kind of person who, if there's like a family death, if I find a party, I'll be at the party. I mean, I'm a real rat. And so I stopped and I stopped and said, no, you got to do this other thing. But I found out a couple of things. First of all, that stopping and looking at this emotionally, you know, with some empathy. And it turns out I do not have a very good empathy, emotional empathy. I have cognitive empathy, not emotional empathy. And I found out that hundreds of times a day I was doing the most selfish thing possible. But it slowed me down because I had to think of it, and I became less smart. You know, part of being a psychopathic is you don't care about other people. And everybody, usually when you're interacting with people, you're saying, am I going to hurt this person? Well, somebody like me, I don't even think of it. So I appear smarter than I am. I may not appear too smart right now, but you know, you appear smarter. And so psychopaths don't have to go through that inefficiency of looping into the limbic system. And so, it's sweet, isn't it? And, you know, after a couple of months, she goes, what are you doing? What's going on? She thought it was a con. And she...
All right, I appreciate your patience, people. I'm back. All right. Boy, hey, this is slavery, y'all. Now, you know, you listen. When the boss puts the foot down, and we all got bosses. We all got bosses. I don't care who you are, what you do. Everybody has a boss, all right? This is slavery planet. Let's not pretend. None of y'all better than you. Anyway, I was going back through the comments. I see a lot of good stuff. Deliciousness. It's obvious that y'all been watching Dr. Fallon and paying attention to psychopathy, right? And the studies into neuroscience. And if you're new, this is one of the ideas we have, which is the politicians should have brain scans. And not just them. It's not about this is not just about politicians. It's about using what we know to become better in the future, right? And so if we know that we're trapped in this place where we keep having folks turned on their warrior genes, that we need to make some upgrades to our society so we don't turn them on, so they don't join the Bloods and the Crips. But the ones that utilize psychopathy for positive things, we need to put it in the right place. And so this is what James Fallon discovered, you know, which is phenomenal. He did the science. He came about certain conclusions about psychopathy and found out later he was a psychopath, and he didn't change his positions, and that's powerful, right? Because usually people can point and so this is what led to the discussion. I think I I made a post that, yeah, I'll vote, you know, maybe. I probably won't. Y'all probably not ever see me out there. I'm jaded. But I need to see, for those of you who are going to vote, no matter what, I got a bunch of friends like that, maybe you should be asking to see the brain scans. Maybe you should be asking to see if your person is capable of the compassion that goes into the deals and plans that they are telling you they're going to do. Maybe you should see if the love section of the brain is lit up, fear is lit up, if they have all the capabilities to push into the world the things that they say they want to. Because I doubt it. I think they're all lying. That's just me. I've been here a few decades and I haven't seen one that it's not lying yet. And it's not necessarily their fault. The system requires that they lie. And so it's such a powerful understanding. So I'm trying to go through comments. I'm not going to show any more of this. You can watch the whole thing. I'll post the link. I post stuff by Dr. Fallon all the time because I don't know. He knows, right? And this is why we utilize professionals, why we should be utilizing professionals to help us design the world, not making up their own crap as we go. But that's what led to the discussion. I said that maybe y'all should have these people brain scanned, and that should be a part of their resume. Not just politicians, everybody involved in public service, right? If you make decisions that can result in the death of a human being, you should have a brain scan before you have that job. Why? We need to know you're capable. The same way we do for police or anybody else. If we hire a school guard for, because the mass shootings are a thing, and I guess we haven't had one in a minute. We'll probably have one soon. Y'all get ready for it. But if you're going to hire a security guard to work at a school, in a schoolyard, are you going to make sure that they're qualified to do the job, or you just aren't going to give a damn? You're just going to put out and say everybody can apply. And everybody, every shape, every size, some people can't run, others in wheelchairs, and everybody can apply. And it's not a prejudice thing, right? It's an understanding there are certain jobs that require you have certain capabilities or people will die. So in order to do the job, you have to be able to run. You got to be able to shoot. You got to be able to hit a target. You got to know how to load the gun. You got to know how to defend children. You have to have that empathy and the compassion portion of your brain activated. So I know when my baby is at school and someone's shooting it up, you'll jump in front of the bullet. You will defend the children. You will push them in the library, close the door, and defend them. Not go hide in a closet like that other security guard in Florida y'all so mad at. This is what I'm saying is that there are certain jobs where life can be lost that you gotta know that these people are capable. And a politician is one of them, right? They do the voting for the wars. They do the voting for funneling weapons. They do the voting for all the things that require somebody with love, compassion, low aggression, low fear to do. That's my point. All right, I gotta do something real quick. I'm gonna give you 5 more minutes. No, I'm gonna give you 2 minutes. 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Hey, 2 more minutes. Then I'm done.
I said, what do you mean? She just, well, your behavior's changed. You're nice. And then I started to do it with everybody else close to me. And they said the same thing. And they weren't talking to each other. But then I told my wife and I told my close friends, I said, this is not sincere. I'm just doing it because I think I can do it. And I was really being honest, It was like, are you lying? You're being honest. And they said, no, just the fact that you're trying and you're doing this is enough. And I said, you don't care if I'm sincere? They go, no. I had never understood this about people. They all just want to be treated well. Oh, it was just a big surprise to me. You're talking to a 14-year-old boy here, and so the next thing is, what do you do professionally? So I got 2 of my close colleagues. In the back, there's Fabio Licciardi. He's the first guy that discovered associative mating. That you end up marrying a family, basically, back in the 80s. He's a geneticist, epidemiologist, psychiatrist. And also Tom Stevenson, who's a fundraiser. And the 3 of us got together. And of course, when you get 3 of you together, you don't call yourself the 3 amigos or the 3 musketeers, or what my wife called us, which I can't repeat here. You call yourself a global consortium, of course. So we started this global consortium. I mean, it's the only thing to do, right? And so what we started to do is, given this information, what can we do professionally? Now that we're starting, and a lot of people are starting to know this research-wise, how epigenetics evinces behavior, and can it be changed? We'll say, well, once you have early epigenetic changes early in life, you can't change them. So, but how can we convince belligerent countries, belligerent groups, that by creating neighborhoods that are in generation after generation of violence, it changes those kids? Because they're seeing violence all the time, and you end up with a warrior culture, which sounds like a brave world, but really they destroy themselves. So if we can convince them biologically and behaviorally that it's a bad thing to do, to have this, generations of it, because they destroy themselves. Everybody's against war, right? But if you say you're going to destroy yourself with this. So that was the beginning idea. We started to do some studies. Now, one of the things, it got me to thinking about leadership. And so when I was thinking of all the psychopaths in the world, of course, this idea came up through film and movies and through the financial world and elsewhere, that there was something about psychopathy and leadership. Now, I thought the first thing that
all right, I'm gonna stop there. So warrior culture, does anyone think that we have a warrior culture on this planet that we probably shouldn't have? That maybe we evolved out of violence and aggression, killing each other and stealing what each other has? Because I try to think about it, I'm like, and this is the whole point of it, right? If people who believe in violence and they believe in lying, a system that requires they believe in violence and lying about the past, and they're still lying about the past, and they're still lying about today, and they still believe in violence of today, they still believe in violence of the past, if they architect your future, will we have peace in the world? Will we have a peaceful planet where little girls can walk to school without being grabbed up and taken into sex slavery? Will we have a peaceful planet where you don't have pedophiles that run the popular realms of Hollywood? We can either evolve or we can't, right? We either do or we don't. And we need to decide, do we want to continue on the warrior path, or do we want to grow the hell up and do something different? That's what I'm saying. You don't want the people who lied about history writing the future. Otherwise, we're going to have to create a new word called His-futre. I don't like that word. I think that word is stupid. I think that we need to grow up right now, decide that lies and secrets are no longer allowed, and that if you're going to do the job of a leader, you should have the qualifications to lead. You're not going to lead me, though. A lot of y'all like to be led. I don't even lead me. I don't think I lead me. I got microbiology in my gut that makes a lot of my decisions. It releases chemical compounds, endorphins, that send me along certain paths to do certain things and not do others. So I don't even think I'm leading myself, but I damn sure ain't gonna be led by your leaders. But if you want leaders, maybe you should pick someone that leads you into a peaceful future. Anybody who's lying to you about the past and today has nothing good about where they're taking. That's what I'm saying. All right, let me do some comments. I'm gonna run. And now we see how holy a lot of supposedly holy people are. So there's that, referring to what he said about the ancestors. Right, Deborah, and I'm with you, which is why I love holy people. Because you know what holy people supposed to be up to. The good thing about holy people is they got holy books. Holy people, holy books, and if you don't follow the holy book, you're not a holy person. Might want to be. So that's a good thing about holy people. People who have no basis for where they stand. They have no rules for their life that are written down that you can call them on. Those are people that you got to use natural law and kind of work through that stuff with. People who's supposed to be holy, that's why I say read the book. Read the books. Stop hating on their scriptures. They're not their scriptures. They're scriptures that belong to everybody. But if they're trying to convince you that they are a thing and they don't do any of those things that thing is supposed to do, that God that they worship or follow, then they're just lying. They're just lying. They don't believe what they say they believe, right? All right. Let me see. Looks like y'all got into a discussion earlier. I have to go up to see what that's about later. It's about nature and nurture. Exactly, Lori. Like they were in that debate. Is it nature or is it nurture? And usually it's always two ignorant sides of a silly debate. It's nature and nurture, right? Because you have the epigenetic component. Not only can we take an innocent baby and make them violent and blame them later for the violence our society gave them, but that violence gets handed down to the next generation. And so this is why mass incarceration actually is chattel slavery. And that's another reason I ain't voting for you damn leaders. Because they believe in chattel slavery. This is why the kids of incarcerated parents tend to get incarcerated. because those genes get flipped. They become aggressive. You think they're bad kids, they're not bad kids. The genes were flipped in their great-grandparents, flipped in their grandparents, flipped in their parents, and it flipped in them. And discriminating against them and putting them in prison is called racism. That's some real racism for you. All the other phony racism is phony. Y'all trying to find racist police? I have no interest in that. But when you have genetic evidence that genes are being flipped in these kids and being handed down, and that's why they're violent, now we got something we can sink our teeth into. All right, sociopaths with a solid ethical base can be quite useful. IMO, right. They're less naive about other humans and less squeamish. Right, exactly, Patricia. And this is why we need psychopathic doctors. Why, if you are an emergency room doctor, you are a psychopath. I'm sorry, I know you don't like it. Yeah. You're on the spectrum. It's not normal to look at a baby that was just in a car accident with his arm hanging here, leg hanging there, and you're just in the zone saving their life. We're thankful you're a psychopath. There's no question. As a doctor, you can't be squeamish in the emergency room. You got lives to say. And this is what I'm saying, that psychopath, not what I'm saying, is what they're saying, people a hell of a lot smarter than I am, is that they fit in our society where they had to. The only difference is we screwed everything up with money now, because now the psychopaths don't fit in certain slots to help our global tribe. We put them in spots to rob each other in the global tribe. Money broke everybody, so now people go into careers that they're not good at, they suck at, they shouldn't even be close to, shouldn't even smell doctor, they shouldn't even smell dentist, they shouldn't even be around teaching, let alone kids. They shouldn't be a politician because of money, right? They determine what type of retirement they want, and they determine that's the lifestyle and retirement I want, so I'm gonna go be a politician, right? Meanwhile, they got the violence where they really should be in a war zone. Should be in a damn war zone, killing and eating, I don't know, fighting with some grizzly bears or some other real violent people. But they shouldn't be in office. That's what I'm saying. Using what we know now to do better. The comments are distracting. Yeah, Patty, well, sometimes you gotta turn the comments off. Sometimes people get to going. I'm not an argue person, but there are some people here who still enjoy the arguments. I just, like I said, I see it as a sociopathic thing. I don't want anybody to think like me. To me, I think that's pretty stupid. All right, what else we got? Sounds like he learned to reroute his neural pathways. Well, you know what? The neural pathways, Shelley, they reroute themselves, right? Like there's nothing we actually have to do. Dang it, is that... Goodness, slavery the struggle is real. The struggle is real, y'all. The struggle is real. Slavery. Anyway. All right, so but the neural pathways, Shelley, if I understand it right, y'all correct me if I'm wrong, every single day they're rerouting, right? Every single day your brain is changing to allow you to do better what you do today. Your neural pathways are changing. It's how they say that the kids who are actually using these computers and devices, that their brains are being rewired to use them better. It's why they got the video games where they got the flight simulators and war simulators, because the kids are getting better hand and eye coordination. Why? Because they're actually walking us into war, right? They want kids who have better hand-eye coordination than us so they can use them to fly drones and murder people. And this is why you have the CIA, military-industrial complex, releasing flight simulators. And this started in the 80s, right? And they're behind all of this, but they understand how we work. And this is the danger of letting people who understand history and how we work lie to us and design the future, because they just walk us in places we have no idea where we're going. We have no idea that these war simulators that these kids fall in love with, that their brains orchestrate and they can be successful at, are actually being turned into pilots for drones. And what industry would that kid go into? They love playing video games. You give them an industry where it's flying a drone or driving a tank or something, and you don't think they're going to do it? You're basically paying them to play video games, as long as they have an apathetic piece of it where they don't think about it as a real human life, they're running over. And they'll play them. What child do you know that's not going to play video games that's allegiant to a flag? All of them. All of them. Why? Because they look at our jobs, they look at me right now like, I don't want no slavery. I don't want to do that. No, hell no. Give me a joystick all day, every day. And this is why I'm saying we can't keep voting for psychopaths who design the past and still lying about the past in a system that it requires us to keep lying about every single culture they colonized and destroyed to design the future. It will never go good for us. We got to be smarter than this, people. Smarter than this. I believe psychopaths are more made than born, and I'm okay with that, Patricia. Like I'm not debating anybody on anything. I think there's 7 billion different types of people, and anybody who tells you they know how they all work is an idiot. We know that we have scientific evidence now of these genes and warrior genes, and that nature and nurture both have a piece of the conversation. And in some people could be more nature, could be more nurture, right? Some people are beat more and abused more. Some people have different genes turned on. So like spectrum. I think of everything as spectrum. You do not wake up and decide not to be a psychopath, although we can reprogram out of sociopathy, right? And Christine and I agree with that. And that makes sense with the lectures I watch. We can help people. We're just choosing not to. We're choosing not to because those people scare other people and they give government more power. And it's not that government's a bad thing. Well, okay. Government's a bad thing. But you know, for most people it's not. Most people still want that thing. But the more conflict there is, the more rights you give them. And that's how it's all designed. Tony Blair said it, I'll say it once again. You know, democracy is the hardest form of government to run because all the power is with the people. You don't get any power to help them or do anything good if that's your intent, unless you convince them to give up their rights. And how do you do that? Well, psychopaths are running on the streets, we will throw our rights at them. Somebody said aquaponics. I love aquaponics. Was that Deborah? I don't even know what y'all talking about. Deborah talking to Deborah. Oh, that's... I'm up in comments, let me move down. Maybe all of us have a bit of psychopath in us. We all do, Christine. My understanding is we all have the ability for the warrior gene, and we all had to, because you never knew when we were going to be born into a tribe that needed to tweak our aggression, our love, our empathy, our compassion to help the tribe survive, that we all develop the ability to become psychopath. And we can turn it on and turn it off, and that's what they do in the military boot camp. They turn it on, and after they try to turn it off, and sometimes it snaps and sometimes it doesn't. They know what they're doing. They know how to make violent, aggressive people out of us. You rig elections, and you think that they can't fake brain scans. Yeah, well, exactly, Shiva, and that's true, they can. But in an open source world where there are no secrets, they're going to have to try pretty hard, right? When there's an open source world, when there are no secrets, when everything around in government is completely in the public domain that everybody can see, they're going to have a little trouble. They're going to have a little trouble. You want to run for office, you want to be a politician, you can't have any secrets. We need to know your past, your history, what you did, who you dated, when you dated, what you did. If you slapped somebody, slapped your mama slapped you, we need to know it all. So it's not just a brain scan, but if you actually want to control the life or death of other people, you want to make decisions that affect millions, if not billions of people, you want to be in a position in the office where you can start World War III, you don't get to have any secrets. And guess what? The people who got secrets will not be going to that field. The people who mean wrong will not be going to that field. But right now, it's like police. We're attracting too many people who don't have an interest in the field to the field because the industry is not what it should be. And it's like teaching, just as well. We're not attracting the teachers that love kids and love teaching, that love to be creative, that create lesson plans into teaching. We're attracting people who are business majors, got nothing else to do, got to make some money, they hate kids, and but they know how to just take a lesson plan and sit in front of a class and throw chalk at people. You know, we can fix everything, but we gotta be prepared to do that. We gotta change our behavior. How about the vaccine to cure psychopathy? Christine, I'm not a vaccine person. I don't think we're that smart. But I'm not a headache medicine person either. I'm not a cold medicine. I'm not a cough medicine person. I don't think that we're smart enough to create things in my body that I would put in it. Like, I'll take a drug if I'm gonna die if I don't take it, or I can't bear life without it, right? But short of that, I'm not taking it. I haven't taken a drug in over 10 years, and I'm not gonna take any now because these people are special. Epigenetics is a thing, and every drug that you take affects your DNA in some way, in some cell, and we know that, and that's science. But that's something that Big Pharma is not telling you. Every time you take your Tylenol, your body is making decisions and flipping genes based on Tylenol being in your body. That's why no one has the long-term effects, and no one knows the long-term effects of all the pesticides, the chemicals, the aspartame, the vaccines, everything else. Like I'm fine with all of them, though, Christine. I'm not anti them. Everybody should pick and choose and go their own path. We get in a problem when we create violations, when we want to violate somebody else for that. That's where I have a problem, because then I see greed and I see psychopathy, right? We need a world where we don't tell each other what to do, where we don't try to control each other's world. That's what we need. And we need that in government. We need in government someone who will respect, oh, I gotta get this.
My recommendation to any company or a group, and I work with the military, them too, that they take in the C-suite, they have a C-level person called the CPO. It's very important, which of course is the Chief Psychopathic Officer. Now that sounds, it's tongue-in-cheek, and it's not cute to have a full categorical psychopath working with you. It's really bad. But there are traits associated with psychopathy that are interesting. And if you take one trait, and this is one of these pro-social traits called fearless dominance. And fearless dominance is a major psychopathic trait. And on the left is Teddy Roosevelt, you have JFK, FDR, Ronald Reagan. They all have a very high psychopathic trait called fearless dominance. It's pro-social. It's not the antisocial one, it's a pro-social one. Now the thing about this is also associated by the voters as being leadership. So people have that charisma, they get the light around them when they walk into the room. That's fearless dominance, and it's what people want. It doesn't make you a good leader, but it really impresses people. So leadership at any level is this. And so, in a way we have to accept some psychopathic traits as being very powerful. And, you can look at, for example, more recently, President Clinton, President Carter. Now, President Clinton, he's kind of in the middle. He doesn't have this full trait. He's in the middle, but is thought to be have great leadership skills. And Jimmy Carter has zero psychopathy, as it turns out. Now, he's got leadership skills, but zero psychopathy. So we're tending to have these less sort of pernicious people. Now,
I found that to be interesting. A lot of y'all don't like Jimmy Carter, but Jimmy Carter was one of the first who said America is not a functioning democracy anymore. I know some of y'all don't like him. He made bad decisions. People still make bad decisions. But the reality is, they think he's low on the spectrum. And I don't think they tested him. I don't think they did the MRI scan. Like, there's a difference between, like, being able to determine if they see the traits and being able to determine from a brain scan if there's activity in that area, right? So there are different ways of being able to determine it. But I think everybody in powerful positions need to have that. And I think you should demand it. If y'all didn't show up at the polls and you refused to vote till you saw a psychopathy breakdown, if not MRI brain scan of your politicians, what do you think they would do? 90% of the politicians would go away. They go cook burgers at McDonald's. That's what I think would happen. But those who know that they got issues, they wouldn't want the world to know they got issues. They'd say no. The ones who actually mean well, if Jimmy Carter was one of them, I don't know. Like, who knows? They keep going forward, and then you'd have a good idea of who should be in that industry and who shouldn't. All right, let's look at comments. Look at that here. Pedos, executioners, blah, blah, blah. Teachers, clergy, scout leaders, doctors, we entrust so much to them all, test them all. Exactly, Lori. Like, what about that doctor? Remember that doctor? He was like a doctor for the Olympics or whatever, and they found out he was putting women to sleep and like playing with them, like these little girls who were like 16 or whatever. He was like raping them after he like knocked them out or something. Like, you don't get to be a doctor. You can't be alone with people, right? Unless we know what if you got your ministers and your clergy tested, these archbishops touching these kids? Imagine what would happen if we actually started building a world where in certain careers, we knew that you were capable of doing that career without hurting people, or we were better. So better. Now, it's not perfect. None of it's perfect, but still people, still 98% monkeys, still do dumb stuff. But the reality is we can evolve things to be better. And that's all I'm talking about. I think like Brother John said, I said, we should go this direction. He's like, how about no government? I'm with you, but I don't think a lot of people are with us on that. And they need to walk into it. So how about we keep evolving government? How about we keep evolving socially? We keep evolving to take what we know of the time to build a better world. And a step in the right direction is making sure the right people get in the right jobs. Less people get hurt that way. You tuned in late, is that an elf? Yeah, that's an elf, Eileen. This was a meme. This is a Will Ferrell meme where he said, you sit on a throne of lies. And what I'm saying is I'm tired of us always voting for liars and lies. But I know you can go back and check out the beginning. All right, let's go. We nurtured our way into a prison society. We absolutely did, Lori. They played us by our evolved to vote for charismatic people and cheer the warrior. We've made a warrior culture. We can undo it. Let's undo it. Of course, and the U.S. has a war economy. Yes, exactly, Patricia. So we're going back to, we've made a warrior culture. And we don't need a warrior culture. Animals aren't trying to kill us and eat us anymore. We don't need to continue to do this. All around the world, we know that all the kings and lords are lying. They've always been lying. We know that they all taken all pretty much the peaceful, naive tribe, or the peaceful, well-meaning tribes were all murdered. They deleted all their history. They burned up all the documents, and so we don't even know what's true. You know what I spent the last couple hours doing? Looking up the moon, if the moon is hollow, how the moon got there. We were into a discussion on the thread, and we were talking about it. It's like we don't know if NASA's lying. Why? NASA works for colonizers. They always lie to us. They sit on the throne of lies. Why would we believe them? Why would we believe anything? We can't even get a debate about the damn moon. We can't. We can't even have a logical, data-driven discussion on the damn moon because the reality is its orbit is artificial, right? Its size and orbit creates a solar eclipse, which is crazy. It's crazy mathematically possible, but very implausible. Very illogical that the moon is the size it is and exactly where it is, that it creates an eclipse. The first time a sentient creature or a creature becoming sentient is on the planet. Like, that's not happenstance, but we can't even talk about it. Why? Because the European Space Agency, NASA, and all the rest of them, they lie about the stuff. We built a model, a system that's based in lies. So we can't even talk about the damn moon or the sun, what they are, what they're there for, who put them there, if somebody put them there. We have nothing we can talk about logically or intellectually because we're always lied to. We've built thrones of lies, and it's their job to keep lying to us. Our government, Gerard, many pedophiles there. Absolutely, Mary, because if you were a pedophile, that's exactly where you're going to go. You're going to go into government. You're going to go into a position of power. You're going to become a police officer. You're going to become a teacher. You're going to become a minister, a pastor. You're going to become an archbishop. You're going to go into a field that allows you to do the things you need to do to get your endorphin response. And now we know better, and we can fix that. Some people hate the pedophile. Some people hate the psychopath. Some people hate the violent psycho. Some people hate them. You can seek justice all you want, but if you keep a society that's making more, then you're defeating yourself. You are literally putting more people in harm's way by continuing to vote for a system that's based in a warrior culture. Celia says she agrees 100%. Thank you, Celia. I appreciate that. I love people who agree and disagree. I'm not here to be right. I don't know that I'm right. I'm trying to put forward content that makes people think so we can actually start to go in a good direction, hopefully where everybody has a voice and we start to build somewhat of a better world. We can't continue to live in this nonsense. I was going to say other warrior, Antifa, white supremacists, army corporations, army on the left. Exactly, Shiva, I agree with you. I keep calling you your dog's name. Need to change that, Sharistan. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I don't blame the kids. I don't blame Antifa. I don't blame the Proud Boys. I don't blame the skinheads. I don't blame the KKK. I don't blame none of them. We created the society that made them. And a lot of those kids in Antifa, they're just doing what they thought they're supposed to do. We're the adults. We're the ones who are supposed to be we're the ones who've been here 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and 100 years. We're the ones who are supposed to know better. not them. All right. Raise your hands to be savvy. I was tried to be grabbed. Oh, I was tried to be grabbed several times. I knew better. Raise your kids to be savvy. I was tried to be grabbed several times. I knew better. Yeah, right. Well, in terms of trusting people, right? Raise your kids to know who to trust and who not to trust. Never trust people that are lying to you. Never trust people who've scammed you in the past and want to scam you in the future. And that's why I don't get the whole voting system anymore. I don't get the whole leader thing. We're all a product of our collective experiences. Exactly, Patty, and all of our experiences are valid, which is why everybody should have a voice at the table. No question. Time for humanity to grow out of its current mindset into a higher level of being. Wouldn't that be beautiful, Celia? That would be beautiful. Why can't we do that? We can. We just got to stop with the evolutionary violence warrior culture that everybody keeps cheering in charismatic leaders. It's the system. You like the high feeling of it if you deal in trauma, the adrenaline. Well, yeah, yes, Lord. And we need to let people who like the high feeling from violence and whatever that is to do those things. We need to send them to space. We need to put them in a tin can and let them go into space and get your adrenaline discovering the diamond and mineral asteroids, the things that help us. All right. Let me start to try to wrap it up. Apologize today. It was a little choppy. Like I said, I try to do this every day, but we're in slavery. We're in slavery. You gotta do what you gotta do, and I gotta put food in my belly. So it doesn't mean that I can do this all day. And some days are harder than others. But we got into a discussion on the thread along this line. So I kind of wanted to explain that we need to be following people like Dr. James Fallon. We need to follow neuroscience. We need to take what we know of ancient history and modern science and everything and build a better world. We need to stop taking history and making it His-futre. You can't even say that without tripping over your tongue. That should not be a thing. Police like the adrenaline high too. Yes, they do, Lori. And so what we can do with police is stop sending them to poor neighborhoods, poor trailer parks, ghettos, and burials to chase children for Wall Street because they make money putting them in prison, and send them to Honduras. Take our people who need the adrenaline rush and go let them fight bad people to protect good people, not fighting poor people to protect rich people. That's what we need to do. We got fixes everywhere. Good food, better brains, positive behavior. Absolutely, Christine. When we raise beautiful children, they become beautiful. When we raise them in beautiful environments, when we raise them in conflict and greed and artificial scarcity, they become monsters. It's that simple. There are people who want to fix things, and there are people who just want to win. You might need to decide who you are. I still love people who want to win, but I've evolved out of that. I have no interest in winning. I have no interest in my leader winning. I have no interest in my side winning. One, I don't have leaders, and two, I don't have a side. I just got kids, and I want a better future for them. I don't want this crap show that we have going on right now. We go down so I can get out of here. Whenever I hear Gerard Seagull, I think I'm going to the beach. You know what, Deborah's funny. That goes on. I got a hawk every now and then. You hear the hawk. I used to see people, they would duck. That's my ringtone. I like birds. I like nature. Beautiful things. Let's see. Let me get down. Open source, except when the census man comes around. Yeah, right, exactly. And it shouldn't be a census man no more. It makes no sense why they think they can do a census. It's none of their business. The only privacy should be people and what you do in your own house and your own life. Government should have no privacy prying into yours. All they're doing with the census is they're going to check their cattle. They're going to take the blood pressure and the farmers coming around to check how many babies were born so it can determine what kind of wars it can have in the future. Let me see. I love how the boomers are mandating all these vaccines. They never got when they're not getting. Yeah, Sharistan and I said, real talk. Did y'all see Dell's last cast? Oh, it was powerful, beautiful. beautiful last cast where he was just sitting down having a conversation. He eviscerated that pro-corporate greed vaccine guy, eviscerated. And me the whole time, like, it was a great debate. A lot of great points were brought up. But for me, towards the end, I just got tired. It was obvious that the guys paid to try to find a problem. He couldn't find a problem. And you know how you end these debates? Is you just go ahead and tell the person who's debating for the MMR, will you take the MMR right now at 60? You go ahead and take it right now. But we got it in the back. We'll take the shot and we'll give you the 27 shots that they give babies before the age of 3, and let's see what happens to you. A lot of people believe in things that they don't have to have shot in them because vaccines become a religion. It truly is, it's faith-based. You have enough doctors and scientists questioning things that we need to slow this train down. And we need to test everything. We need to go back to responsible science. But I call it the Monsanto test, Sharista. Give them the Monsanto test. Well, we believe that these things are not carcinogen. And the guy went back, got him, did y'all see that? Got him the cup of glyphosate. Yeah, you go ahead and drink this. He said, I ain't gonna drink that. He was an executive for Monsanto. Sitting there just debating, blue in the face. Oh, it's safe to drink. It's just like water is what they tell the farmers. Sat him down in the interview and said, you drink it. And he wouldn't drink it. So we have a lot of people lying, fakes, and phonies. And you need to call them out. Poor G, so loyal to his little group, Captain Multitask. What group am I loyal to, Patricia? The only group I'm loyal to is 7 billion people around this planet. I am loyal to nobody. I turn on anybody in a minute. Y'all seen me. I turn on anybody in a minute. If you're wrong, you're wrong. Because I know you doesn't make you right, because you in a group that you think I'm in doesn't make you right, because you born around me somewhere it doesn't make, because you got a bald head, you think I'm gonna call you right? Hell no. If you're wrong, you're wrong. You know, authority has to be what's true. Look, how we say it the other day? Or Saj Guru said it? He said, the truth can be the authority, or the authority can be the truth. And I think the truth has to be the authority. The truth has to be the truth. I turn on anybody. I love you. I turn on you because I love you. Right? You'll turn on me because you love me. That's the only reason I think I'm getting smarter, is because my friends are smart enough and love me enough to be honest with me. Like, no, your breath stinks. No, you need to shave. You can't buy nor sell if you look ugly. It's just not gonna. Does this dress make me look fat? Hell yeah, G, make it look fat. You just, oh my goodness, you need to stop eating the Twinkies. When you got people who around you who will be honest with you, and you can have honest discussions because you love each other, then you can get into it. I got to go answer some questions on the moon thread. Yeah, I don't know if the moon is artificial. I think people were saying I thought that the moon was artificial. I'm not saying the moon is artificial. I'm saying the moon is in an artificial orbit. It's got an artificial size and an artificial orbit, or it's organic in size and somebody put it in an artificial orbit. And we need to think about that. It's like the pyramids. Their precise size is like 1/44th or something. The weight or mass of the earth or something. Like, these are these little breadcrumbs. That's what I call it. They're breadcrumbs. They're breadcrumbs of previous societies, I think, to let us know that they were here. And they left mathematical trails. They left scientific trails. They left trails of things we would know that they were greater. That's what the whole purpose of the pyramid is. Somebody wanted us to know that something greater came before them. All these big megaliths that are found all over Russia, somebody left those for a reason. The Sphinx and everything. Why do people do that? They did it to let us know. Like, what is the story? Like, I post Native American stories and Aborigine stories and stories from the Zulu who say the moon didn't used to be here. You know, the ancient folks in Mexico, I forgot if they were Mayans or Aztecs, they said that there was a time where the sun rose in the west and set in the east. And the Egyptians said the same thing. And so if you got two different groups on two different continents saying the same thing, then we know pole shift theory is real. The pole shifted. And so the way my mind works is that, you know, we're like how we tell stories to our kids. There's always a point. Right? They told stories and they handed down stories. Now, some of them were, a little sugar to it, right? Some of them a little mythical. They had a little something to it, but there was always a point and there was always truth to those stories, and they made them interesting so people would keep telling them. Something happened in our ancient past that created all these religions that they needed us to know, so we handed down those stories. And I think we take that with modern archaeology, with modern understanding under no secrets, because they're always lying about things and hiding archaeology. And we prove the bits and pieces of those stories that were true. That's what I believe in. I don't believe in taking people who lie about history and letting them drive and design the future that are probably psychopaths. I think that's stupid. I don't think that ends well for our kids. I don't think it ends well for us. Refuse to vote and refuse to census. Lori, we need to change our behavior and refuse to do a lot of things. If somebody's lying to you, why would you cheer for them? Why would you want them? If the system requires that they lie to you, same thing. That person might want to tell you the truth. You think the system's going to let them tell the truth? Come on. We got to be better than this, y'all. We really got to change the world. You know, it is our job to hand a better world to the next generation, not this crap show that we have today. That's all I'm always about. Competition, survival of the fittest, we need a new story. Yes, we do, Rebecca. We need a new story. And it needs to be stop beating up women because they're women. We need to grow up. We need to move forward and stop using force against people. All right, this is Gerard. I gotta get going. Y'all have a wonderful day now. Love y'all to death. Bye-bye.